It's Saturday! I can't complain too much. I had a half day this week. I got to go home early yesterday. Because for once in a billion years, we had enough people that they had a couple extra. It's rare, but it happens. And people are like, dude, are you crazy? I'm like, dude, you don't get time back. I love people are going on and on about the money. I'm like, money, one of the wisest lines I ever heard was from, what do you call it, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and all that, or Charlie and the Chocolate, whatever they're calling it this week. And that is, they can print new money all the time, and it's getting worth less and less. Time, as you get older, gets more and more precious, and I'd rather have the time. Thank you very much. And they're like, oh, I said, really? When the Reaper shows up on your doorstep, you think you're going to hand them a certificate from your place of work saying you should be getting like a few more days because of all the hours you spent at work? It's not going to happen. I'd rather spend the time doing something I want to do than um, being stuck here. Yeah, I do make a good deal of money, and my work's not. Yeah, but it gets tedious. Um. So yep, the Omega Files hit. And my opinion of the episode did not change. Now, look, normally I would support. I don't mind minor changes in canon and all that because canon's constantly changing in Doctor Who. But when you start changing the individual characters, major players, to suit your plot line, that's when I get a little crazy. Now, the Doctor's always changing, so that's not a biggie. And I love how people are, saying that this is, the child of the timeless children needs to be retconned. I saw the other day. I'm like, after that hunk of shit, you're worried about the timeless children still? It's like Chibble's been going, how long? And you're worried about the timeless children? I know. I think that's the lowest I've ever scored a series finale. Because if it weren't for the fact that Jodie showed up in it, and if the fact Shooty acted his ass off, but the problem is, I was sitting there at one point. I literally wanted to look over at Lady G and go, "For Christ's sake, somebody throw him a life preserver, because he's drowning in this bullshit." I'm like, ugh. Yeah, because that was not the Ronnie. That was not the Ronnie. That's not the Ronnie's motive. That's not the Ronnie's motive. Modus operandi. It's not the way the Ronnie works, and that didn't work. And the bi-generation thing, I'm like, why did you drag Anita Dobson around all these episodes for a bad one-liner as the new incarnation gets eaten? Like I said, oh, he's become a mad, insane, weirdo skeletal creature. And as I said, looks like a reject from a Spirit of Halloween display. And if they do go with Billy Piper, I don't mind. But the problem is, all signs point to the fact this was a placeholder. I have no problems with that. Yeah, that's all she did. She delivered a bunch of little one-liners here and there. And remember all the fuss about the sonic screwdriver, being too much like a gun? I can't remember who brought this up because I saw this earlier. Yet, what does the Doctor do with the Vindicator at the end? Pulls it down and shoots Omega. Well, Omega still thought he had a body. You know, that's why he was walking around in the suit, the mask, and all that. And in Arc of Infinity, he was trying to hijack and make, create his own body, based off the Doctor's bioprint. He was trying to originally bond with the Doctor, and that didn't work. Yeah, my generation was like I said, it just didn't work. As normal, I'm very accepting when things change in the canon, but using it twice in under 2 seasons, it became a trope. And as much as I love Anita Dobson and all that, and Anji Punjabi or whatever, that was not the Ronnie, and I feel bad for them for having got saddled with that piece of shit script. Yep, I found out later. Yeah, that apparently, that was apparently the big scene that was supposed to happen at the end with the Doctor and Belinda, dancing, and of course Susan off in the background, and Poppy is Susan's mom. Really? I can go so far with wibbly wobbly timey wimey, but yeah, they wasted Carol Ann Ford too. All these years we waited for her to come back. I was glad she did get to come back for that brief sequence, but you tease this big thing and then no payoff. It's all right. All right. Did they show Unleashed for this week yet? Because I have no idea. I haven't really been watching it. I really kind of lost, interest in all that when Confidential went off the air how many years ago. So, no, what I couldn't stand, was the gods and monsters shit. It got tiring after a while. Why did the celestial toy maker suddenly have to become a god? Why did the trickster have to become a god? Sutekh was, and the Osirans were thought of as gods, but they were not gods. And well, what they were leaning towards Saeed was they mentioned, of course, now, and like I said, this is something I don't really mind because it would explain a few things, and that is that Time Lords are sterile. And they were trying to bring in the whole looming thing from Lung Barrow and all that, where, and like I said, forgive me because I haven't really read Lung Barrow. I've had no interest in it. But apparently what they were supposed to be doing was Time Lords were being loomed out of blah, 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 genetic material, yada, yada, yada. And so basically, Susan's mom was going to be loomed, is what I think. Yeah, it was, like I said, his finales, no payoffs. And I'm sorry, you brought Sutekh back for what? How many minutes of actual screen time between 2 episodes? And then you bring back Omega for how many minutes of screen time? And for what? Basically, I think they throw all your looming. Like I said, forgive me. Google it. No, I'm kidding. I'm not sure if anyone would even have that information other than maybe a Doctor Who wiki. That's another thing too. You remember, the TARDIS exploded open. And then they completely, well, assuming they just got kidnapped and they popped up here or whatever. Yeah, I think it was Lungbear introduced the whole concept of the looms, wasn't it? And good luck getting a copy of Lung Barrel. It's been out of print for years, and they want basically your a kidney and at least part of your lower intestine to get a copy of it, if memory serves. Um, I think there's some online copies of it running around if you can have somebody send you the text. I know somebody sent me the text a long time ago, and I never got a chance to read it. And that's the thing. It's like also one of the things they we were hoping the series would never touch on is oh, the doctor, what really went on with the doctor's family? Why did he have to leave Gallifrey and all that? But well, yeah, they had to once the word finally came down that it was a facial shoot, he wasn't renewing. They they had to go back and reshoot a bunch of stuff. And I'm loving how all of a sudden Belinda has a kid. That's why Belinda had to go home. That was all later. Originally, as we discussed on the Omega Files, all signs pointed to the fact that no, Belinda Chandra did not have a child. Exactly, Saya. Keep some things a mystery. All I know is this. Like I said, I don't know if they can recover from this mess. As I said, if you like the episode, I'm not going to call you evil. I'm not going to, but I don't see the sense in it. It was just mind-bogglingly horrible compared to what RTD's given us in the past. And guy just showed up in a car so small, I think my Jeep wants to eat it. I like that he's covering his eyes and shit. It's like, dude, it's not my fault you're exactly eye level with my fog lamps. You're in a car so small that I'm afraid I'd trip over it if I didn't look up and see it. It's like, well, okay. No, no, no. Looming was in the books. It's never been shown. No. No, that's out of a totally different thing. Yeah, looming was never shown in the series at all because it was a book thing. It never. Yeah, no, they went through all this trouble to establish Belinda as this, strong, independent woman who wanted things one way. And oh, by the way, I've got a kid. Really? When did that happen? Um, oh yeah, didn't you know? And then they put on all these scenes where apparently she was just telling the doctor all along, and everybody forgot about it. It's like, well, everybody assumes they want to name a kid after petroleum. No, no, no. Petro is actually a name, if I remember right. You're right. Oh yeah, Bob. Yeah, that infamous season of Dallas that never happened. Yeah. Plus, you got to love it when he invites people to be able to do guest roles who are trashing the show for how many years just to, try to win them over. That's the opinion I'm getting. That's the feeling. That's my opinion. That's what I'm feeling happen. Because I've seen this happen with other series where suddenly you get perks if if you've got enough followers, and if you're bad mouthing a show, all of a sudden, bam, you get a free invite to this and that, and then, oh look, now they like us again. Like I said, this is going on with the Fallout show with somebody, because now they're bad mouthing because they don't like the timeline with the New Vegas thing, and sure enough, I'm shocked they weren't invited to go to that set too, which we'll probably get video of after the series begins there. Matter of fact, yeah, I wouldn't be the least surprised if the companions unionized. Imagine that. The Union of Doctor Who Companions, local, 42. Well, we're sorry, Kate. Because we've been traumatized by traveling with the Doctor, we get coffee breaks every half hour. Didn't you know that? Or tea breaks, whatever you want to call them. No, I got to get going, folks. I just looked at the time. I'm running way over. So be kind, be calm, be safe. Enjoy what's left of your weekend. I will see you all later in the near future. So please be kind, be calm, be safe. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.